Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. It is 29th of April to 2020, and I want to talk about a dream that I posted, but I think I posted a bit later. First of all, I thought it was a prophetic sports that had this almost temptation when I went back to Montreal because my mother was sick and I missed my train to go back to Vancouver, or my flight. Well, actually, I made back my IDs anyways. And that day, I thought I had a dream fighting with sports every day. That's just what I wanted to have. So, but many of those, though they were, upon research, I could find new teams because I didn't know nothing about sport, and suddenly I knew almost all teams in all sport. So it took time, and I was outside, which was even worse. This dream, I did like this. I got a lance, and there was Jason Voorhees, the guy in Friday the 13th, and I smashed the lance on him. He was like sleepy. But then I saw myself, or that I thought of fighting. Actually, right after, I see like a sign with a sign and a cross, and it was switching all the time, like just battles, spiritual battles. And then I see myself with a big T-Rex, and fighting bear arm, and he was lifting me up like a T-Rex dinosaur, and fighting against, almost like St. George, but fighting, and then it jammed. So I woke up. Today, when I think about it, it's probably Toronto Raptors, and it would have been like first half I win, and second half a draw. I didn't know better that time. I was always out and very tired, so I made a mistake that I didn't take a place, and God told me a church is built with walls and bricks. Now, saying this, excuse me if I don't speak too loud, today I realize upon studying a bit, first of all, through a prophet that I believe is true, that his name is, there's a prophet talking about the comet. Many comets dreams now, tsunami that it's gonna come. By the way, the tsunami God gave me, I smashed the car with under the Pont Alma, like upon research, the Princess Diana. I couldn't brake, and I thought comets just gonna hit something that hurt. Well, there's many comets now. That I don't know, because the next day, then that second part of the dream, a car came and did like this, like a brake fashion, whatever you call when these people think they're hot shot, and the water came above from the concrete on the floor from that brake. Now, is it gonna be like I was a comet hitting and suddenly there's another car? I don't know, because the second day when I post that, God just said tsunami, and he showed me the second part, which is very rare when God repeats himself, right? And so I correct that, and when, I don't know. I guess God doesn't want me to know. All I know is that it is gonna be a tsunami, and I repeat it again. It's gonna be a tsunami. He told me one New York this summer. I'm cleaning my channel. I said when. Back then he didn't say. All I can say is maybe, and I'm almost on uncharted new territory for me, is that God has started to show me that he's left in church about 2-3 weeks ago for 6 years. Jesus left the church in the tabernacle, and they carry it out. And he told me because people are eating, especially even me, and instead of penance. So 6 years. And he told, right after he said something, okay, I want you to remember this. He said, take off your gizmo suits. Remember, he said something, and the Rastas and the old-time females, and also the old-time females. Now, remember that females, I've talked about that dream I said maybe FEMA camp, maybe everything. All I know is that the herd spins and history repeats itself, and even in bad things. Now, females, you remember this, okay? Because this is the talk of this video. That's why I made that. There's phenotypes, there's genotypes, and that's in the genome of human. I also had many dreams of this transformation. Now, why did I spoke about Jason Voorhees? We've seen that it's a demon of transformation, right? In that Friday the 13th series, which is probably the horror movie that has made the most chapters, like 10, 12, whatever. And I remember I grew up watching this. I had the tapes home and copies back then, you know, between 2 for your private copies, and it was in my generation, you know, in the 80s. Now, this, I just learned, came from a DC comic in 1972. It was called The Demon Number One, and it's called Etrigan the Demon. That's the main guy, but that demon apparently goes into Jason Blood, a guy, and I think it transforms or something. So he goes and hosts, I think, if I'm not wrong, with Jason Blood, and that's what they call right now the Jasons. And in this year, there's I stumbled upon a thing after I heard this prophet talk about the comet. He made a good video talking about the transhumanist and the human enhancement revolution. Tom Horn, okay, as the prophet talking about wormwood and everything. Now in this description, I'll paste the link of that video that he gave 30 minutes talk at the Sid Roth Supernatural. Now, this prophet says a lot of things that I took mark here. And he says that the genome, there's a scientific person for the government that it's called the Jasons. It's not a hiding. It grew up from the 40s, 50s, 60s, etc. Now in 1999, it was saying Jason, a secretive group of Cold War scientific advances, is fighting to survive in the whatever, okay? So maybe that's what God was showing me, not only the sport, like my personal thing, but bigger plans. You know, maybe I was asking this, but God was finding almost a way to find it for my satisfaction, but all this one anyways. So the Jason's gonna be dead, but now who was after that? Whatever, maybe now the group is called Tyrex. Maybe the group is called, you see my point now. I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to get too much in trouble. You know, I feel like I should be a priest, but it's important to talk about it because you know what? Well, these people are just blind, you know, because we're ultimately fighting for their salvation, their soul salvation, whatever they know or not, you know. It's like Maximilian Kolbe giving his life ultimately for a Jew and a Jewish person in the concentration camp, a Catholic who did it. So it took his place. So, you know, there's no better sign than giving your life. And I think that some of the Jewish people got the message and it saved more than one person. Now, somebody who does this, you know, God is behind him. So they might get the message, you know, because you're losing your life, you know, you got one here on this earth, so you better make sure. But anyways, now this place, I want to talk about another dream now. The Tyrex, we talk at Jam, so maybe this is something new. Now this demon DC, it says, Wikipedia, Jason Blood, and then it merged with Gotham City initially, and it teamed up with Batman. Now I had a dream. I talked this week about the Antichrist. I was recognizing Elon Musk, and after I posted this, I lay down, and immediately I had a vision and woke. He put like 2 masks, and he jumped on a motorcycle, and he passed through a wall, and I said like Batman. I didn't understand. I said maybe Comets is going his hiding place. He has a two-face when things gonna go down in the dark. But that didn't surprise me because my private life in Vancouver, I've seen it. A lot of people, it's like the demonic West. It's like California, but in Canada. I've been in Toronto, Vancouver, in the East, in middle almost, and there it's almost like you're getting worse, you're going west. But I personally sold my soul there, being depressed of like, and then I just recanted right away, within 2 weeks, and not following the devil. And there is a communion of those people, actually, not only saints, but of unholies. Like, I remember seeing revelations of that, seeing even the singer, somebody that represent and say, hey, he's not a Satanist. And, there was, and at that time, even they give my name that was called, see, the Great Duke, but... And then even I had visitation of two big demons. Talk about it, and I won't talk about everything because it can continue for hours. But I wanted to say about, you see, Batman, the demon, etrigan, the demon, would team up with Gotham City. Now, what this Elon Musk has to do with Prince Valiant? Okay, that's in the Demon One. Team up with Batman, and it was inspired by Prince Valiant. You can Google that. And he has a mask, that person. Okay, I'm gonna study it more. It's like, it's almost a bit of cheese process right now instead of a cheddar, but you get the point. And I could edit it with the background, but I don't want to involve too much time. I can do it a little bit, but feel free to pause and know that what I'm saying is really what I found. Now, the Prince Valiant mask, it's almost like Elon Musk. Okay, he got the mask, he put like two. Now, you have to understand that transhumanists, that now I start to study today myself in the human enhancement revolution, as God showed me DNA manipulation between species. I saw a grasshopper and a snake mix, with the face of a grasshopper and the body of a snake. I've seen the one they did with two-leg, the little, what's this called, little doggy with the flat nose. He's cute, he has a lot of hair, and he was walking like a duck, so they cross him with the duck. Very disturbing dreams and revelations, visions of the night, and some that God showed me all this summer 2019. One about the thing they put for crossing man and machine together with like androids but still human. And then I've seen also, in the future, people being out almost apocalyptic in some woods or not, and these machines trying to find them and shoot after people, almost like true story of Kelly Gang, just like God said, true story. I searched true story, what kind of movie was that? It's very disturbing. And to transhumanists and the human enhancement, all I can say is that I spoke about the Jason group, and then this Tom Horn prophet talks about $100. I still have to find this genome. And when I heard that, I'm like, when I saw Archie Mountbatten, go buy yourself a radio, and I said, how much is it? $100. I gotta make another video. My time is getting short here. Okay, well, just there's genotype, that's from parents, and there's phenotype. You see, remember the old females. And when I heard females, I always thought FE, but now I'm thinking females, phenotypes. You see? And this prophet Tom Horn, which he said something I never heard, he said, we have some documentation or something like this, that in the time of Noah, when the water came, they were starting to do crossover species. I never heard that. I always thought they were ARIA rated. No science. I don't know, maybe. He said it, I rewind it. I'm gonna hear it a third time now, a fourth time. But, and it looks like when Jesus went out, he said, take out your gizmo suits, and gizmos and gremlins. The gizmo, and they transform, and gremlins, villain, when they get into water or they have too much light. So take off your gizmo suits. I thought I had only to do with coronavirus, and then remember those old females. I thought taking off because people gonna die in jail, the old people. And he said, remember Rastas. I thought people with drug only that didn't deal but just got caught peacefully with drugs among themselves. I mean, it's probably right too. That's what I said. But now there's more degrees to the same thing, It's like when you say something to somebody, you ask you a question, did you went there? You say yes or no. And when you say yes, there's a lot of things that also you say yes. When you say no, there's a lot of things you say no, you can deduct. And wow, talking about this, I'm just thinking about yesterday. Wow, man. I start to wake up when I was like young, but I'm telling you, of course I'm against that. Of course I'm against that because it's an abomination. And now we're thinking about the scripture. When you see the abomination of desolation sitting in the Holy Land, know that the time is short. And wow, man, this can be like the Antichrist I saw. I said the eyes like this and the rest like Elon Musk, almost. So with the hair like this, back, white, no blemish. It seemed like a cross. And if he put that, Elon Musk. And then I said Myamoto because of the moto, Myamoto, the whole samurai, ronin I spoke. Ronin the movie, ex-CIA or something like this, and samurai alone, when your master was dead or he left, he put you out, whatever good or bad reasons it can be. But now I'm thinking this Prince Valiant, and he has a mask. So I don't know what code name they give him, and I could care less. I'm putting myself in with the spirit of Antichrist. I don't see him talking about Jesus, telling the truth that is hiding, and things for the best. And I've seen him, the satellite Starlink, and that's just can be used to spy. And the 5G, again, I studied the 5Gs and 5Gs. It's terrible. It's the eyes of camera watching you everywhere. You won't need your cell phone to do something. You go in a taxi cab, they know where. You don't even have to talk to the taxi cab. Well, unless where you go or somewhere, and it can be subtracted directly from your account without even you maybe having a phone, or just you say Uber and the camera picks it up and it brings you. Now the problem is maybe how they call it, because you can talk about somebody Uber, or people might not talk to them too much at that time, or just say, I need order something, a phrase. But it's the police state, and the problem is I don't like to call it the police state, because I believe in a good police. And John the Baptist too, when they asked what we have to do, he didn't say quit your job. He said don't take what doesn't belong to you. Don't be corrupt in other matters, because they need that. There's crazy people out there. There's people who at least not crazy, but they do wrong. So I always bless the police, and I love them. Not the corrupt ones, and you pray for the ones. It's just like leaders. They can be good, they can be bad, or I should talk about kings. But this state, whatever you call it, I rather call it evil, in the state of the Antichrist, actually. Call it the Antichrist state. It's a state like communist atheist, a state that just goes blindly and raised ahead and to own whatever, if the cost, it's gonna cost anything, blindly. It's disgusting. You have no decency. You have nothing inside you. You might as good as been for nothing. Why are you living for that if you're cold-blooded? Better to kill yourself, like, so to speak, to these people of this who sees it in a nation. They're racist if they see it like this. People, a nation that believes in war are racists. They're racists. So, and don't tell me you're gonna do a war because people are racist, at that time, especially if you attack first, um, it's that's the blindness of the devil that caused this, and the only solution for you to understand, not only understand but to see it in the good way, whatever information you have, more or less, is to know Jesus Christ. This video has been long. I'm gonna stop here, but that's what I wanted to say. The vision of Jason with the Tarex now. There is a standstill. Might be animals. Might be the new of the thing. 100 genome. I don't know what it is, but the Archimon Batten. It was given to people on his third part of that. Still young, maybe his third part of life. Go buy yourself a radio, which is 5 or 6G or whatever G is gonna be at that time. Radio frequency that I received last year. And I said, how much? It's gonna be $100. Apparently, it might be only $1 because the inflation at that time, or $100 might be a lot of money. But somebody said that the gas liter is gonna be $8. I've seen that food for poker players is gonna be 50 grand, 50,000 grand to eat to 2 person. So it's about probably $5,000. 50 to 5,000. It's 100 times inflation. Why 5,000 and not 50,000? Because they usually spend 1/10 of their bankroll in case in the future they lose. So, and there was another one about money for me, and I think it's the radio frequency. So anyways, big lines. God is left church. This coronavirus is gone, but he left. You can think about all the bad prophecies of the replacement of the true First Catholic Church. It's gonna happen. God showed me priesthood made woman last year. I wish it doesn't happen. We'll see if it is. Every prophecy can change through prayers and people can repent. But if not, if it continues that way, that's gonna probably what happened. So, but you can pray. Anybody can sacrifice so much, and maybe God's gonna attenuate anything. And I'm not saying I'm doing it, as I should. And forgive me, God, for this, man. You gotta come to me. And then I wanted to say something. And then this manipulation of animals, DNA, and human research for intelligence manipulation with AI, and God, and the tsunami that's gonna happen, whatever it's in France, UK, or New York, like I said, like God told me before, or the three at the same time with a comet, piece of asteroid. I don't know that. Okay, all I know is that last month he told me a East ruler got shot, and he was like a comet shot, and the star is the flag of North Korea, and apparently Kim Jong-un is a vegetative place. What goes around comes around, huh? He sent that spy or not up north, back to the state in vegetative mode, and didn't hide it. Boosting is even worse sometimes because you're showing it to all the people on the earth like it's the way to do it, and that's shocking. Even for God. God won't like that example. You're talking like you're an example like this, but not. And people who follow my channel knows that I pray for Kim Jong-un to see God, and I do believe he saw it. So I find this very upset. Even in the dream, he was next to my shoulder. So, but what can you do, And, I barely can cry for myself right now. So, and so that happened within a month, 13 March, and it happened now. So if the God vengeance for Lady Diana of this tsunami might happen really soon again, if this trend continue, and manipulation, comets, asteroids, and of course there's a threat of world war. So when big tribulation mode and any of the big things like this implemented or happening, it's gonna change. This coronavirus is gonna be other ones. I heard Zika. This coronavirus, it might be the next people for coronavirus for children. I don't know. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. This is a continuation of the last video. It's about an hour later or so. This, I just see how stupid I am. I'm not say stupid, how ignorant I am. I spoke about this dream of Elon Musk putting a mask and then a hat, a hard hat. I think he even had two masks, and then a hard was like balaclava, like this army stuff that you see only the eyes. And then I thought about the dream Myamoto, and I spoke, and ronin, and Myamoto was a samurai, a ronin. I was fighting alone, but now I start to understand that my next video after, and I spoke about Sid, it's supernatural, and I'm Catholic, by the way, but it's not important. It's whatever church you are, if you're really for God. And of course there's bad church that distorted, like once saved, always saved. But I'm talking about here in the people of goodwill who are really trying to do what God says. And usually it's some little churches or Catholics hard, but now it's infiltrated with Freemason. No, this mask represent. Now that I see this Sid, the other video that was suggested to me was, well, another prophet that had vision. And when I talk about prophet, I talk about people that God spoke individually for the benefit of you, the whole churches, the whole anybody. And one was invited was Ken Peters. And since he was 9 years old, he said that he had vision in the church as Catholic, but then he kind of grew up away of the church, because we might understand that, he was seeing stuff scary, he was crying like the Lord in his passion, and then he went on his way like anybody trying to do his stuff. But then this vision of end of the world came. But I feel Ken Peters, okay? Ken Peters with an S. So this man, I'm not sure what time it was, in the 80s, 90s, maybe 90s, that was invited. Like, he says that he got executed at the end of the world, and the police were gone, just like I spoke about police. It's more military. Another prophet online called End Time Science, a little girl that I personally, even when I saw one of her dream, said, continue to share, you're gonna get more. And she did, and God bless her. She talks a lot about militia, and that's not a proud, apologies about that, but I wish somebody had told me that back in the days. So don't fear God because you don't fall until he lets you one. I hate when people with Christian have fake names online. You just put yourself a stumbling block. First of all, you're taking the glory of God when he say he will protect you, because not even a little bird will fall. Second of all, mostly you're giving yourself a room to hide for your own sins eventually, because if you don't shine, you will continue to advance, but not for God, because you're not shining. You're going to advance in darkness and you're going to fall back in sin. You put in yourself a stumbling block. I'm talking from experience, and I know Sometimes I even don't want to answer people with fake names online. Start to shine, take your name. Don't be proud. You're gonna make mistakes, but more you wait, more you're gonna make mistakes, like me. And before I could be very brief and talk, and then after 10 years, bam, 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 bam. So he says, you see how long it took me. So he says that the mask, he was seeing the executioner with the mask. So it makes me think, oh, Elon Musk, a mask is a sign too of not only hiding, but also of signs of executioner. And I had the execution, but it was in Canada, somewhere I won't name, and it was from Asians, and I was lined up with other Christians, and I found myself on a knee, silently pulled back the neck that I had, this robe. And as that time I was a hermit with the robe, well, not hermit, I was an apostle of divine mercy, and I received through vision a robe, so I was wearing, I made myself one with Black Limb, and he cut, and I woke up half the way. And this man got killed like this too. When there's gonna be war and chaos and maybe nuclear war, I was surprised back then, but not anymore. Why would they use one bullet in these days of penury when they can make it with a blade? And so and that's it. So me, it was for me it was Asian. Him, he was in the States. There were all kinds of people, different. He said military, so I don't think it was Asians for him. It was mostly anybody. He said there were restriction of the, but I invite you to go see it. Yeah, a lot of things gonna happen, and it's funny. He talks. Well, I invite you to go see it. I just wanted to add this.